Good morning, all, and thanks for tuning into the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. I'm Niraj Shah. Apple has hit the $2 trillion mark in market capitalization. Yes, I'm starting off with that and then get on to the other things because this is a big development that happened. This is humongous for Apple to do this, and I'll tell you why. Some statistics are interesting. Apple listed, I think, or went public in December 12, 1980. At that point of time, it was about $22 a share or thereabouts. It's added about $1 trillion in the last 38 years to hit the first $1 trillion mark, and then has added the subsequent 1 trillion in 2 years. That's the telling statistic of what's happening to the NASDAQ companies and some of the more successful ones. Apple is, of course, a shining example. And as much as a lot of people would want to talk about how Warren Buffett is not getting his bets right, boy, has he gotten this one right. It's been quite amazing. A lot of people are questioning why Buffett went on to Apple after decrying it for so many years. Well, it's really paid rich dividends. So the great man continues to surprise us all, or not surprise us all really, but continues to lead us all in terms of his investments. Anyways, so Apple was that big example of uh, of milestone, if you will, in yesterday's session in the U.S. markets. Aside of that, it was a pretty placid day of trade. I think the Fed minutes seem to suggest that the US recovery is painful. I don't know if that played its part into what the US markets did yesterday, but they did precious little. I mean, it was a flattish day, not too dramatic in terms of moves. So you don't have the best of global cues in trade yesterday. By the way, I'm bringing up what stood out slightly earlier because I think it was more a US thing. And I think something that the traders will take heart from, that the Democratic and the Republican leaders are hinting that they are looking for a path towards reviving the stalled negotiations for the next round of pandemic relief for the US economy. Now, this is big. Remember, almost everybody's betting that this is the thing that has to happen for the markets to do well, US markets, that is. So let's see. So far from any deal, but Nancy Pelosi suggested that Democrats, she's the House Speaker, and suggested Democrats may be willing to cut more from their proposal to reach the agreement on immediate needs. Let's see if this happens because that might give a bit of a trigger to the US markets. But that is for later. For today, flat US markets, flat Asia, flat or marginally lower Asia, or mixed Asia, and mixed cues from the SGX Nifty as well. So any of the charts that come up on your screen, whether Asia or SGX Nifty, will show you that it's a bit of a mixed bag, if you will. Look at that. I mean, Asia is kind of um, starting off lower, about 1.8% for HSI. The others are probably not so bad, but you might see some profit booking or consolidation if the SGX Nifty is to be believed as well. So do watch out. I think we might have a start which is marginally tepid. Remember, we came off a bit yesterday in trade from the highs of the day in the second half. Not that Indian markets preempted this. I'm just saying that we anyways came off a bit after hitting that wall of 11,450 odd, which is what I've been saying is a very sturdy point of resistance. And we might have a start which is marginally off today. But this could be consolidation because, frankly, if you look at the data from the call and the put side, and remember yesterday I was saying that how 11,100 and 11,200 returned some very active calls. Now, if you look at the max open interest on the put side, it's at 11,400. Naturally, from a day trader's perspective, it will see some unwinding also because it's the weekly options expiry. And this is the monthly expiry that I'm talking about, of course. But at 11,400 taken out on the downside, you might see a bit of an unraveling of that. 11,100, 200 remains strong supports, and somehow this 11,400 to 500 mark remains the big resistance. So not too much that I can add to what the SGX Nifty is already suggesting. So let's get to stocks and what I'm watching out for. A few that I'm giving graphics for, a few that I'll just speak about. So firstly, Z Entertainment. And I thought it is very interesting to see what happened yesterday. The trading volumes were at the highest ever on Wednesday, and over 3.2 crore shares marked for delivery. Now, this is big, viewers, because this 22%, 3.2 crore shares, 22% mark for delivery, 3.2 crore shares marked for delivery suggests a buying interest of nearly 580 to 600 crores. Not normal. That usually happens for banks like ICICI Bank on a trending day for the bank Nifty. So this is pretty interesting for Z. The City has added Z to its conviction list with a target price of 250, if I'm not wrong, or something like that. So do watch out. I think some of these stocks are getting it right, and it will be interesting to see if Z continues its uptrend in the session today. IRCTC, DIPAM has invited bids for engagement of merchant bankers and selling brokers for partial divestment of the government share to OFS. Now, does this put an overhang on IRCTC? It probably does. I would presume that any kind of OSS indication from the government side tends to put a lid on the upside. So if you're an IRCTC bull, you need to watch out for when does this happen, and upsides or downsides until then. Please be mindful of that. Cosmo Films, and I thought the numbers were interesting. Remember, day before yesterday or 3 days ago, I spoke about Polyplex and the numbers looking good. Then Uflex and the numbers looking good. And yesterday, all these stocks were up and about. Costco ended, I think, at the life highs. But look at the numbers. Revenues were down, but the net profit was up 69%. EBITDA was up 52%. Margins 18.1 versus 10.68%. So all of these factors augur very well for the packaging film companies. Spreads have improved. So the bottom line is taken care of. Now, can they improve the top line in the world which wants better packaging? That's the question. Let's wait and watch what Cosmo Films does today. It'll be interesting to see after the big up move yesterday, can it follow up? And RBL Bank will certainly be in focus because the board meet to consider raising of funds for preferential issues today. So therefore, do watch out for RBL Bank. It will be a stock that could be in focus today. So the board meeting is slated for today. Keep that in mind. Just viewers, couple of things that I want to highlight in the session. Now, Titan gave out some updates. I haven't written them down, but if you can hear me, the presentation, of course, I've written it down. The presentation says that in Q1 FY21, the company had incurred losses on hedge contracts, which had turned ineffective since the sales were not in line with the projections. Therefore, these losses will be reversed subsequently. They're almost, partly indicating that there will be some write backs in the quarters to come. But more importantly, that they're almost saying that the hedge losses or hedge gains will be almost nil or negligible. So keep that at the back of your mind. It's a big talking point for Titan at every quarter. And therefore, watch out for Titan in the session today, and watch out for KNR Constructions in the session. Just that because it's a big surprise on the numbers, and it continue doing what it did in trade yesterday. Plus, all the road construction companies are very active because of the NHAI orders. So I will watch out for KNR Construction too. 257 was up 17 rupees yesterday. Can it do more is the key question. Let's wait and watch. But on that note, viewers, wishing you a happy trading day ahead. It's going to be a day of consolidation or profit booking, so be careful with your trades. But thanks so much for tuning in to the Trade Setup.